Sabrina Carpenter's rise to the top of the pop charts looks like a classic overnight success story, but a leaked internal memo from late December 2025 suggests it was actually a meticulously planned $100 million corporate operation. For the last 2 years, you could not go anywhere without hearing the song Espresso or seeing Carpenter's signature blonde curls on every digital billboard from New York to Tokyo. The narrative fed to the public was one of a hard-working former Disney star who finally found her true sound after a decade of hustle and minor hits. But on December 19, 2025, a high-level PR strategist allegedly leaked a sensitive internal document titled Project Short and Sweet that details a global domination strategy so aggressive it makes the traditional music industry look like a secondary thought. This document does not just outline tour dates and radio interviews, it maps out a psychological takeover of the music algorithm and lists personal relationships as literal marketing assets that must be maintained for maximum return on investment. Today, we are answering the 3 questions that the music industry is trying to bury. First, what exactly was the cost of the aggressive domination strategy used by Island Records to force Sabrina into the spotlight? Second, did the label actually script her relationship with actor Barry Keoghan to align with her album cycle and public image? And third, what happens to a star's career when the general public realizes the organic growth they loved was actually a line item in a massive corporate budget? We're looking at the financial filings from January 2026 and the leaked memos to show you the reality behind the sparkle. Our investigation has found evidence of massive playlisting fees and a calculated image shift that was designed in a boardroom years before we ever heard the first note of her breakthrough hits. We also reached out to an entertainment lawyer to understand how these types of contracts legally bind an artist to a specific public persona. According to the leaked documents from late December 2025, the label spent an estimated $4 million on what they called the playlist tax. This was a strategic investment to ensure that Sabrina's music was the default suggestion for every major streaming platform's autoplay feature. Per a report from the Tricordist on January 2, 2026, streaming platforms are facing new structural scrutiny for these exact types of bundled offerings that shift risk onto the platform while forcing specific artists into the ears of millions. The receipts show that between May and August of 2025, Sabrina's tracks were given a 300% higher priority in global recommendations compared to any other artist in her genre. This wasn't just fans choosing her music, it was the algorithm being paid to choose it for them. If you finished listening to a Taylor Swift song or an Ariana Grande track, the system was rigged to place Sabrina next. This created an artificial sense of popularity that eventually became real because people simply got used to hearing her voice everywhere. The memo refers to this as the familiarity loop, where constant exposure is mistaken for genuine fan demand. This brings us to the most shocking part of the entire investigation, which is the alleged relationship clause found in the Project Short and Sweet files. Moving into the 3-minute mark of our deep dive, we have to talk about the Barry Keoghan factor. According to the leaked memos from December 2025, the relationship between Sabrina and the Oscar-nominated actor was listed under a section titled Cross-Demographic Synergy. The plan outlined how their public appearances would be timed to coincide with the release of her single Please 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 and the debut of her 7th album, Man's Best Friend, in August 2025. The document allegedly suggests that the pairing was designed to bridge the gap between pop music fans and the prestige cinema audience. While fans saw a cute couple, the memo described a data-driven partnership intended to maximize search engine impact and social media engagement. Per an industry insider quoted in Page 6 on January 8, 2026, the breakups and makeups we saw in the headlines were actually milestones in a marketing calendar. Every time the couple was photographed by paparazzi at a specific Los Angeles cafe, it happened to be within 48 hours of a major career announcement for one of them. The legal implications of this are fascinating because it suggests that their personal time might have been subject to corporate approval. We also have to look at the financial powerhouse that is her fragrance line, because that is where the real money is hiding. According to a report from Glossy on January 7, 2026, Sabrina fragrances reached over $11 million in U.S. sales in 2025 alone. The CEO of Scent Beauty, Stephen Moore Morris, stated that the brand saw a 95% increase in sales between October and November 2025, specifically because they timed the product pushes with her short and sweet tour dates. But the leaked memo suggests that the music was actually the loss leader for the fragrance and merch empire. The goal was never just to sell records, it was to build a brand that could be sold to Gen Alpha consumers, who are currently reshaping the entire beauty industry. Per Morris, the plan for 2026 is to expand into 54 global markets, including India and Brazil, to turn Carpenter into a colossal brand worldwide. This confirms that the music is just the top of the funnel for a much larger retail operation. The memo even describes her songs as 3-minute commercials for her lifestyle products. This is a massive shift in how we view artists. In the past, the merchandise supported the music. Today, the music is just a tool to sell the perfume. The reality of her rise involves the massive debt incurred during her time opening for Taylor Swift. While opening for the Eras Tour was framed as a gift from a friend, the leaked documents suggest it came with a heavy price tag and a mountain of legal paperwork. According to a report from Variety in late 2025, opening slots for stadium tours often involve a complex buy-in system, where the opening artist's label covers a portion of the production costs in exchange for the exposure. The memo indicates that Island Records invested over $15 million into Sabrina's tour presence and marketing during the Swift era. This created a situation where the artist had to achieve global superstar status just to break even on the investment. This is the hidden mechanism of the industry that most people never see. Once a label invests that much money into one person, they cannot afford for that person to fail. They will pull every lever available to ensure a return on their investment, even if it means saturating every corner of the internet until the public feels exhausted. Per the legal filings from January 9, 2026, we're also seeing the fallout from the industry's pivot to AI and digital manipulation. While Sabrina is a talented vocalist, the leaked memo mentions the use of AI-driven trend spotting to write lyrics that were guaranteed to go viral on TikTok. According to a report from Global News on January 4, 2024, over 50,000 new AI songs are uploaded every day, and major labels are using these tools to refine the work of their human artists to make them more catchy. The memo suggests that the catchy one-liners in tracks like Espresso were the result of data mining popular social media phrases from early 2024. The label used software to analyze what words were trending among teenage girls and then instructed the songwriting team to include those specific words in the chorus. This takes the concept of an industry plant to a new level. It's no longer just about who your parents are or who you know. It's about whether your entire personality and art can be generated by an algorithm to satisfy a specific market demand before the fans even know they want it. The memo also goes into detail about the rebranding that happened in early 2023. Before the short and sweet era, Sabrina was struggling to find a consistent image. Per the internal documents, the label hired a team of semiotics experts to analyze her visual brand. They decided to lean into a hyper-feminine 1960s aesthetic because their data showed it would perform well with both nostalgic older listeners and aesthetic-obsessed younger fans. They literally chose her hair color, her makeup style, and her fashion based on what would look best in a 9:16 vertical video format. According to a fashion analyst on January 5, 2026, her entire wardrobe was curated to be memeable. This means every outfit was designed to be easily turned into a reaction image or a style inspiration post on Pinterest. The leaked document even lists the specific Pantone colors that should be used in her music videos to trigger a sense of happiness and sweetness in the viewer. In response to these leaks, representatives for Sabrina Carpenter and Island Records have remained largely silent, only pointing to her record-breaking tour grosses as proof of her undeniable talent. According to a statement released on January 8, 2026, the label maintains that Sabrina's success is the result of her 10-year journey in the industry and her incredible work ethic. However, the prose in the leaked memo tells a different story of a star who was essentially rebuilt from scratch in a 2023 boardroom meeting. The data shows that her engagement rates only skyrocketed once the Project Short and Sweet strategy was fully implemented. This creates a massive disconnect between the relatable girl next door image she projects and the $100 million machine that keeps her on our screens. Our source inside the PR firm says that the internal mood is one of panic because they didn't expect the public to see the math behind the magic. As of January 10, 2026, the debate over Sabrina's authenticity is tearing her fan base apart. Per the latest social media metrics, the hashtag #IndustryPlant has trended every day since the December memo surfaced. Some fans argue that every major star is manufactured to some degree, and that Sabrina's vocal talent justifies the heavy marketing. They believe that as long as the music is good, it doesn't matter how it got to them. Others feel deeply betrayed that the underdog story they believed in was actually a high-level corporate play. They feel like their taste has been manipulated by a computer program rather than a human artist. The receipts prove that while Sabrina is the face of the operation, she is also a passenger in a very expensive and very loud vehicle driven by label executives who have a very specific timeline for her career and her personal life. In summary, the Sabrina Carpenter domination plan is the perfect example of how the music industry has changed in the age of big data and algorithms. We expected a natural rise, but the reality was a precision military strike on the charts. We expected a real romance, but the memo suggests a synergy strategy. We expected a pop star, but we got a high-tech retail brand. The lesson here is that in 2026, being a pop star is less about the music and more about being a successful line item in a venture capital portfolio. The label isn't selling songs, they're selling a lifestyle that is carefully curated to be as profitable as possible. This exposure of the internal machine is just the beginning of how the industry is trying to keep its grip on the global charts. If you want to see the rest of the playbook that labels are using to manufacture the next generation of icons, you need to dive into our Fresh Celebrity Tea playlist. It is the only way to stay ahead of the narrative before the next memo leaks and another star's reality is exposed. We have documented the rise and fall of several other stars who were part of similar projects, and the patterns are impossible to ignore once you know what to look for.